Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Creative Revolution broadcast. I am your hostess with the mostest for this precious moment in time, Julie G. Vegas, in studio with my beloved...
Second Sight.
We are super excited to be here, as usual. Every second Sunday, coming at you live and direct, sort of. We edit it, and then we post it. It's maybe Monday, sometimes Tuesday, depending on how technology is working. But today we have an episode solely focused on judgment.
Judgment and perceptions.
Judgment Day is coming, fam. Are you ready? That's actually not what we're going to talk about at all today. Today we are going to talk about like more of a broad stroke of judgment in general, and the fact that we as human beings make judgments. The fact that judging is something that is basically just basic decision making, and it's very easy to judge wrongly. And we as human beings need to come into a position where we begin to judge rightly in order to see the goodness in the land of the living.
In our podcast and broadcast, we're about the creative revolution, and we are about truth, freedom, creativity, and spirituality. And we've been doing this for 25 years. And so we have a lot of things to say that probably go against what people know or think they know, or their truths that they've compiled in their minds. So, we're probably going to get a lot of judgments. People may come on for one episode and like what we talk about, like us. And then the next episode, they're like, whoa, what are you talking about? I'm not listening to that. So, we've been in this game for a long time, and I feel burdened to get the truth out there because I believe this is a very important time that we're living in. And for too long, I just not been getting the truth out there because of all the negativity of society, because people haven't been open-minded, because of like a million other things. So I'm like, I just need to be obedient to, what God's called me to do, and do it, regardless of how many people I offend, regardless of how many people even listen to the message.
It's true. Like even in the Old Testament, the majority of the prophets were lonely men who were feared and who were disliked by many. And that's because when you speak the truth, if it lands with somebody who's truly seeking truth, it's going to resonate. It's going to set that individual free. But when you speak the truth to somebody who doesn't want to hear it, somebody who just only wants to validate their ideas and their subjective truths that they are basing their entire reality on, they are going to get mad. They're going to be like, no, you cannot be shifting my reality here. And that's okay, because the beauty about truth is no matter what is a seed. And so even if that truth hits somebody and it's not accepted in that moment, there's still hope for that truth to begin to sprout at some point in time if that individual is not a complete and total retard.
But the people are retarded.
Because we just need to keep watering the seeds of truth, and God will cause the growth. Because today we're dealing with the
mass deception.
Mass deception, like the system. There is a system. There's an agenda, and it is full of the most advanced propaganda known to man. They have all their tools at their disposal, and they've been doing this for over 100 years or longer. Well, since the beginning of time, the devil's been deceiving, but there is an agenda now, and everybody's minds have been brainwashed somehow.
We've all been subjected to it.
If you think that, I'm not brainwashed and like I know the truth, I'm like, well, then you definitely are brainwashed, because I admit that I've been brainwashed. And this is the reason why I'm so passionate about searching out the truth, finding the truth, sitting thinking for a long time in silence. You have to put a lot of effort into unwashing your brain and washing it with the truth.
Yeah, rewashing.
It's a serious problem out there today. Like there's a million sources of information, and there's just many agents of the enemy that are there specifically to deceive. And then once they've deceived from a higher level, then you get all these other people that are just deceiving themselves and deceiving other people when they weren't intentionally setting out to deceive. It's because they've been sown the seed of deception, and it's growing in them. And now they're producing content.
Yeah, this is true. Pure facts. So with that being said, Adam, why don't you just give us a quick little bloop on like, what is the creative revolution? Like, what are we all about here? What is the Crivolution even? Crivolution. What is the Crivolution doing?
Crevolution.
The Crevolution
is the answer.
It actually sounds like a snack, kind of like a cronut which is a croissant and a donut. The Crevolution sounds like something a little bit more decadent, perhaps.
That could be a great marketing scheme for a bakery. I wish it was simple like that. But the truth is that humanity needs to wake up. We need a new reformation, not just in the church, but also in society. Because of all this deception, we're heading towards a goal that is not our goal.
No.
It's a goal that
it's the enemy's goal.
The elite have put into play, and it's going to take away all of our freedoms, all of our rights, and humanity is in a serious jeopardy right now. So we have a choice. We could either do nothing or we can do something. Well, what do we do? Because a lot of people get hopeless because, like, well, they're so powerful. They have brainwashed everybody. They're in control of the military, the monetary system, all the big corporations and everything.
Oh, my God.
Well, it's like, you know, you have Che Guevara. Like, could we do his revolution? Probably not, because, again, they own all the military. You know, could we do Bob Marley?
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
We could do Bob Marley.
Bob Marley, it's cool.
One love.
Because even like his songs are just so timeless.
Yes.
I just love Bob Marley. I wasn't like a huge dread at all, but like his music is just so universal. And when you break down his lyrics, he was a prophet.
Yeah.
Like Christians don't want to accept that, but he believed in God and he sang about God. Doesn't mean like every single thing he believed and did was lining up.
Like, I mean, he had
Bible
multiple wives and stuff like that, but they had multiple wives back in the day.
Yeah.
Like in the Bible, they had.
So you can see how he would think that, because
Yeah.
the Rastafarians are very Old Testament in nature,
Yeah.
Nazarite vows and everything, you know. But that's is a valid revolutionary way to go. Art is revolution,
Yeah.
and this is part of what the creative revolution is about. It's about supporting artists. It's about supporting artists to wake up and not support the devil's system. So many times that it's pretty much the what happens to artists now is that they need money, then they sell out to the system, especially in the music world, and then they sell their souls to the devil for fame. And it's not even what artists should be seeking.
No.
We should just be looked after by society and promoting proper culture and truth. And art is just a very powerful tool. And I just would love to have tons of money, win a lottery or something, or have tons of money come in and be able to set up a support system for artists where artists could come and just represent truth without the hassle of having to look after the grind, because, you know, all the artists are just looking for, you know, that fame and that money and all these things, and we've lost the art of it all.
Yeah, it's
you know?
true. Yes.
So that's part of the creative revolution, and I think that the real heart of the creative revolution is that, you know, we need to create our own reality. We literally need to create a separate society outside of this society, and we're going down to, like, where do we live? You know, what food do we eat? How do we educate our kids? Like, all these essentials of society, like, we literally need to replicate them on a smaller scale and do them ourselves in community.
Yeah.
And so that's why we're just putting out the truth, because I do have a plan. I have a plan out there for all of that. But to convince people of a plan, it's not so easy. And this is why I burned myself out trying to set up intentional communities and do all these things. I'm like, well, you know, people are not there yet. So this is why we're just kind of getting the truth out there to try and plant the seeds so it will grow and communities will happen, and we'll get ideas flowing so people will come up with solutions, because it's not easy. They're gripping us like this and squeezing the life out of everybody in society. Mm-hmm. Inflation, you know.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Policy.
Like, what we saw happen in 2020 is just the beginning of many more planned and orchestrated control mechanism events like that. Like, they do stuff like that so they can change the way society functions, so they can implement new levels of control and surveillance and ways of functioning in order to get to their end game, which is just having us human beings running on hamster wheels and them harvesting our energy. And then when we get fat enough and lean enough, they're gonna friggin' eat us, because Soylent Green is people. And trust me when I say, you don't want to be a hamburger, man. You don't want to be a hamburger. And that sounds crazy, but look it up. Soylent Green. It's a movie go watch it. And then Google up, is there freaking human parts inside McDonald's burgers? Look it up. Okay? That's it. That's all. I'm not going to say any more about it. But the long story short is, like Adam is saying, if we truly begin to live differently, and that means making choices that are not simple, choices that go in the opposite direction. I saw a really interesting meme that it says the only type of fish that flow with the stream are dead ones. Dead fish flow with the stream. Fish swim upstream, okay? And it's difficult because you feel that that pressure and that resistance, but when there's a whole school of fish swimming upstream together, it creates like this torpedo effect, and you can just cut through that water and get things done. And so that's the call. We're constantly just sharing the truth, calling out to those who have ears to hear and a heart to be obedient, saying, let's just do it.
Like, who wants to be part of the school of the creative revolution?
Yeah, man, because we got land. And up around where we have our land, there are lots that are available for sale. And so it's almost
for a very affordable price.
Yeah. And so it's not perfect land. The land is far from being, the most ideal scenario for building and growing. But, the perfect land doesn't truly exist. But something that came up in conversation when a bunch of us went up there a couple weeks ago to scope it out and to kind of start dreaming and scheming and planning and thinking. One woman brought up, she's like, yeah, but maybe it's not perfect for growing an apple orchard and corn or whatever, but there is specific things that can grow in this environment. And so instead of trying to force the land to do something that it's not really set up to do, why don't you just work organically with the land and grow the stuff that will thrive in this type of soil and this type of climate. And that's exactly the truth. The beautiful thing about the land is that it's a living organism. It's its own being, and it thrives when we are stewarding in love and we are stewarding properly and in reciprocity. It's going to give back. It's Mother Nature, Mother Earth. She is a nurturer. She's going to take care of her children. Like, that's just the reality. And so there is obviously fear that each one of us has in regards to taking a leap of faith like that, but it's going to be so worth it. Like, even for us with our land and our dome, it's like we have it. We're not fully living there yet, but we have it. So it gives us like this peace of mind knowing that when another axe comes down, we have a safe space to go that has food, that has power, that has heat, that has a sauna, that has some deluxe things because we like to ball out because we ain't gonna play in the apocalypse. And if you know us, you know us. Like, we're ready for things. Like, we got maple syrup, we got chocolate, we got whatever. And like, my plan is always to be the queen of the apocalypse. Like, look at me. I'm ready. So anyways, that's the point. The creative revolution means get it done, get it now.
Get ready and set your heart and attention out of the cities.
Because
the cities is where all the control is, where all the EMFs, where
5G.
Everything is going to go down, and they make effort to drive people to the cities.
Yeah.
Like to destroy small towns, to make it
difficult,
almost impossible. Even in the policy of the municipalities, you cannot buy a piece of land and have a bunch of people live on it. It's just illegal.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's retarded. That's why you got to know sovereignty, which we've talked about, and know that they don't have authority and jurisdiction over the flesh and the blood. So you can send them letters, proof of burden, prove that you have jurisdiction over me. This is what we did. We built without permits. They came after us and we're like, prove you have jurisdiction. And I haven't heard from them since. If you want to utilize the land to be sustainable, you're going to have a problem. So this is why you need to know a bit about sovereignty. You need to set your heart and attention back to the land. Doesn't mean you need to just pack up and move everything out there immediately. I would say that'd be a good thing, but it also, we're all tied with families and jobs and all these things. At least, get a small piece of land. At least maybe go in with a few people that you trust and get a piece of land and just, set up a trailer and get some wood and stuff going.
Yeah, just get something
going. It takes a while, but have something.
Have something.
Have something going.
And that is our judgment in regards to that. We have analyzed it and we have decided that this is the way forward, because things gonna come down that pipeline, and we're the year 2026. So it's been 6 years since that. Like, you can guarantee that something coming down the pipe. So with that being said, Creative Revolution. If you want to know a bit more about sovereignty, we do have an episode called Sovereignty. You can check it up. I'll put a link in the linky thing and you can check it out. And with that being said, we're going to just dive into it. We're going to dive into the judgment thing, the judgment section. So I've got some notes here. So if you see my eyes looking down, that's because I'm reading my notes. I like to not read notes, but sometimes you just got to read notes. So I wanted to just start off by talking about judgments and how making a judgment is pretty natural. It's a normal part of day-to-day life. Like I said a little bit earlier, making a judgment is basically making a choice. Judgments get us from task to task in a day. So it's simply the mental process of evaluating information, situations, people, pets, etc., and then making a decision about it or about them. So it's technically considered higher level thinking in psychology. That's what they view it as because it builds upon perception and reasoning. So making a judgment, making a right judgment is like a superpower. The way making a judgment goes is first and foremost, you observe information. Secondly, you analyze that information or you're comparing that information. Next and lastly is you decide what it means or you decide what to do. That's just basically how making a judgment call goes. And so I'm going to give an example, and this example Adam is going to talk about a little bit later because now that we're here on the internet, we have opened ourselves up
to judgments.
We have said, you know what? Here we are. Judge us. And we got a thick skin. That's the good thing because we've got the blood of Christ. So anyways, here's an example. You're sitting at home. You're relaxing. You got your cat on your lap. You're eating some popcorn. Life is good. You're watching a YouTube video. Everything's going good. These people are funny. Man, they're entertaining. They're talking about stuff. It's resonating. And then, you hear something. You hear something that you heard before. You heard something that you didn't like. And all of a sudden your hair is on end and you're like, what did they just say? And so your judgments, your brain is going tick, 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 tick. And you're like, you know what? Frig it. You hit stop and you immediately turn into a keyboard warrior. And you're there and you're tip, 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 and you're like, should I send this? Yeah, I'm mad. They've made me mad. I'm hitting send. And boom, you hit send. You leave a crazy comment on somebody's YouTube channel. You shut your laptop, you friggin' push your cat away, and you're pissed. I don't know what you're doing with the rest of the day, but that's an example. So with that being said, I wanted to just talk about judgment and the fact that in making a judgment, there could be a thing called bias. So I truly and personally believe that in the example I gave, there was a bit of a bias happening in there for when in the stage of analyzing and or comparing, there was something there that led this hypothetical individual to be upset and to begin to decide, oh man, I'm going to leave a comment because I don't like what they're saying. So bias is something that can kind of distort your judgment because in this realm where there is biases, there's a tendency or an inclination that affects your judgment in a way that's not fully neutral and not fully objective. Now, in the last 2 episodes, we talked about objective truth and subjective truth, and I encourage you to study this. It's super simple, but it's imperative for us as human beings to know that there is a difference and to be fully aware when we are making decisions where we're kind of pulling this truth from. Is it objective truth, reality, something that doesn't have anything to do with my thoughts and my emotions, or is it something that has to do with my thoughts and my emotions? It's really important to know. Do you want to say something?
And there's this now today with everybody making videos on the internet and now with AI making videos and everything, like sit and think about like what is this video saying and where did this information come from and who else is saying it? Because there's so many people that are like analyzing history and all these things, and it's just like, how do they even know? And especially people talking about things that far out in space and stuff that NASA and everything. It's like all these lies are out there, and it's like, how do you really know? Because for 25, 30 years, I've been researching things and having collaborative, real world testimonies of people collaborating the same truth. And so you got to look for things that personal testimonies from people, like real scientific research, real whistleblowers, people that have written books because they've been in the CIA and they've done all these things, all collaborating these stories. But there's so many videos of people just looping stuff together, and then like, what authority are they? Even doesn't even matter because the authorities are corrupt. But like, people are just saying anything and everything and weaving videos together. So really think, you're basing your truth off of what?
Yeah.
Everybody's watching or reading columns in the newspaper. Well, don't forget, 99% of the media out there
is
that you
owned
get
by BlackRock.
So it's like, you think you
It's
have an opinion.
propaganda machine.
It is all propaganda, and they have the left and the right and the back and the forth.
Especially now, too. I'm like you're saying, there are so many videos out there that are actually just made by AI, and they're likely just made by the government. Like that's somebody's job is to like make these AI accounts and just pump out videos to help propagate a lot of this propaganda, especially when it comes to stuff that's completely ridiculous, like stuff from outer space. Anyways, when you got a bias, you're not evaluating something purely on facts, and your thinking is influenced by obviously preference, beliefs, or past experiences. And essentially, a bias is a bit of a tainted or a tinted reality. It's kind of like you have those rose-colored glasses on. It's like you can see reality, but it's got a bit of a tint to it, and that tint is something that you've orchestrated yourself based on, everything. And there is also like a variety of biases out there, like confirmation bias or like an unconscious bias, but I am no psychologist. I have not studied psychology, and so I'm not going to dive into that today because I don't know enough about it, and this is not an episode on friggin' bias and like the depths of judgment. It's just I wanted to paint a bit of a picture, a bit of a foundation, so that when we discuss some of the stuff that we're going to discuss in this episode, you can kind of see truly what's going on. And I think that when we as human beings boil things down, like simplicity into like black and white, it's a lot easier to see. Clearly I've got a bias here in this area, or like, oh yeah, clearly I know, like Adam is saying, that there is a bunch of facts and a bunch of other people that are absolutely confirming that this is the way. So this is true.
So everything that we talk about on here, like, I have facts, or I've listened and made a judgment that these people are bringing forth facts. But I don't bring facts and put notes in the descriptions and everything, because generally there's tons of people doing that already. And, people aren't necessarily convinced by that anymore. They're more convinced by people who's getting up and talking and having a certain personality. That's just the reality of it. Most people out there are just convinced because, they're going with the flow and they're just going to listen. And I'm asking people to listen to us and ask Spirit, ask Creator, look inside themselves and line up with what we're saying with the other things that you heard, and go and do your own research on things. If we say, something on here, and this is a serious topic like the New World Order. You don't know about the New World Order? Well, I'm pretty sure you could go find information on the internet, because that's where we got everything from. There is a truth community out there that is collaborating, and that's what you got to tap into and know that you've tapped into it, because all the things that we talk about in here are congruent within that community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, like I said, this main point of what I was just sharing is to bring a simple awareness to the fact that making solid judgment calls is important. And it actually requires significant effort to be in a position where you're making a solid judgment call. And that comes down ultimately to a correct posture of the heart. And that comes down ultimately to what you're connected and tapped into. And that's why we shared the last two broadcasts on Jesus, because Jesus is a very good barometer check. Like, he is the rock of ages. He is a measuring stick. He is a grounding rod. He is the way, the truth, and the life. It's Jesus at the center. You can truly filter out your bias, and you can filter out what's right, what's wrong, and you can make a pretty darn good judgment with Jesus at the helm. That's why they say, Jesus, take the wheel. Take the wheel, Jesus. I can't drive without you. So
I believe it's hopeless without Jesus. And this is why, like, the creative revolution isn't about Jesus, but he's essential to it, because we talk a lot of different things on here, but this is a part of it, and it is part of our DNA, because we have a transformational experience. We've been transformed, and once you come into that truth, you can't uncome into it.
It's true.
That's like the world will test you in your faith, but it's up to you to give in to that testing or to persevere through it. And like I feel like to make like judgments even on what something we're going to talk about there. Someone was talking about like they know my faith and my trial and what I've been through. But I've been going to church since I was 3 years old. I've come through Christianity. And I'm going to talk a bit more about this in the next section, but like I'm not new on the block to faith. I didn't just get up and put my hand up in a service and believe last week.
No, this man's an OG. This is why I got married to him, because he knew things about the Bible that I didn't know. And I was like, yeah, this guy.
I've traveled the world. I've been in Buddhist temples. I've been in mosques. I've been around the block.
Yeah, it's true.
I've searched things out.
Yeah, he's got one of those types of hearts and minds that will not relent in seeking truth in the depths of where truth lives. So I think I am satisfied with my laying of a foundation. So let's just dive right into that comment.
Yeah, so we don't have a lot of comments in our videos now.
Not
so
yet.
when you
Just
make a
comment.
when you make a comment, it's going to stand out, especially if it's, you've had a problem and you're criticizing what we're saying and you didn't agree. This and that, and we welcome that kind of dialogue, especially right now, because we want to, talk about
We
things.
welcome it as a dialogue, though. Like, please know that don't just drop a comment and like never come back. If you leave a comment, we are responding to those comments because, like Adam said, there's not very many. But even still, like we got on here onto the internet because we want to communicate with humanity. So drop a comment, and when we reply, holla back. Or even send us an email if you want. I'll give you my phone number if you want to talk
Come
on
on
the
the show.
Yeah,
It's like
we'll
have a
call-in.
conversation.
Yeah.
But like we are known as like far out wild people, and the reality is we're being proven right time and time again.
Yes.
But within all those wildness, because I'm up there seeing everything, like we're going to say stuff here where it's not going to line up with my truth and what through people's different lenses and perspectives all the time. So you have a choice to either like, okay, well, I didn't agree with this point and that, let's move on. We don't need to agree in every single point. We're trying to sow our seeds, and if some seeds you don't want, that's up to you, and we don't hate people for not agreeing with us. And that's what I feel is that people, like, we say something and they don't agree and then they turn it into hate. And like, we're not people of hate.
No.
And that's the thing. It's like people will be watching our episodes and listening to us, and all of a sudden something comes up and they're like, I can't believe it. They believe in Jesus. What a bunch of fools, And as we said, like, it's in our DNA and it's going to come up like,
all the time.
All the time. It's especially Julie.
I love 'em.
She can't stop it, right? So there was someone who commented. They like, oh, I loved your presentation and all these things. I was following you, but now this whole Jesus thing, creationism is what they were using, and creationism and Jesus and
homophobia. They said the homophobia and the creationism is dangerous.
Yeah.
And yeah, Adam is just going to touch on a little bit more. I did leave a reply already, like in the comment section, just about it, because like we are the least homophobic people ever. Like
of Jesus people.
Yeah, of Jesus people.
If people don't know us and like they just make a judgment like that, oh, you believe in Jesus, you're a homophobe.
But also,
the
the crazy thing is like that is like a really extreme judgment to make, because in any and all of our broadcasts, like we're on season 2 now, this is episode 7. Like we have done at least 30 or more broadcasts, and like we've never been like shaming anybody for their anything other than people who get vaccinated, like.
So there's a difference between like hate and like hating homosexuals and not agreeing with their sin. I don't agree with anybody's sin. I don't agree with fornicators. So, it's there's a difference there. We've had lots of gay friends, and sometimes they're fun people to be around. And, if they're cool people, then I don't need to agree with them morally to go hang out, to be at a party and talk to them. Like people judging us thinking that we're hating people that, we don't agree morally with. I hate the sin out there in the world, and I think people are way better off without it. But this is just not the point here. This person that commented had an experience with the church and wasn't accepted. They went through a transition. Okay, and welcome to Christianity, the place that most of the time people are not accepted. They don't represent the true Jesus. It's full of all sorts of judgments that aren't right. I am not a fan of Western Christianity, okay? I've been through the church, and I've been extremely judged and burnt, and I've just given up on that community. And the person mentioned that, like, they were looking not so much for acceptance in Jesus, but acceptance in a community. I'm like, well, you need the acceptance of Jesus first. That's where your identity comes from, and then you need to work with the Holy Spirit. Even, there's, when you come to Christ, there's things that, if you're getting your identity from something like your sexual preference or whatever, you're going to have to lay down all of your sin, and the Holy Spirit will convict you of that. You're not willing to go on the journey with them. How important, if it's actually God and the flesh and the Spirit coming and communing, and this is the whole purpose of existence, is it not worth giving up these temporal things? We're only here for a very short period of time. These temporal things that we have, like, let's give it up and move on. But if you're looking for the church to fulfill the need of your life, well, sadly, it should be fulfilling a big need of your life, and it just isn't. Okay, that's the reality of Christianity, is that it's been infiltrated a long time ago. They are living like Babylon than they ever have, and it's whitewashed. So it has this appearance of being all holy, but it's not. You peel back the paint, and it's like rotting wood underneath. Ooh. So that's the state of the church. So I hear you, man. You go there and you're not accepted, and you should have been accepted, at least been loved. And if people don't agree with your sexual preferences or whatever, they should be able to have a dialogue without judging you, love you, but, have a conversation, speak to you, show you the truths in the scripture, and give you that time to fast and pray. Like, did you fast and pray and seek the Lord during all that before you just threw everything out? Because even atheists, the true scientific ones, admit that the world has been created. Yeah. This is one of the things, like these things that the person said in the comments. They obviously didn't watch the 2 episodes, because we addressed 99% of what this person was saying. Mm-hmm. So it's like we went through how creation has the DNA of a creator everywhere, scientifically proven that the Big Bang, it takes a lot more faith to believe in the Big Bang than it does is to believe in God the creator.
Yeah, like the whole point of those 2 episodes was to break down the basic truths and the basic facts so people wouldn't be confused on the matter anymore. That it's all just like compiled into 2 little episodes. There's a little show and tell in there too. It's a little bit funny. You know what I mean? Say some funny things. And boom, bada boom, bada bing. You don't got to search too hard on the old interweb to find things. And we also gave some really great resources in those podcasts as well, so that you could truly just like lock in on what we're saying, so that that it's objective truth, that it's not some subjective thing that we have concocted, that this is real. This is the real deal. And it's good news. Like, the gospel is good news, because like Adam is saying, being accepted is what we're all longing for. Like, all of us. And there are so many communities out there. It doesn't matter what kind of community. We're all trying to find ourselves in a space where we are accepted and we are loved for who we are. And it's true, man. Only Jesus can really do that for us individually. Like, fill that void, that space, that longing that we have. And when we have that, we have security in our identity. And then we can boldly and strongly and passionately go into these places where community exists, knowing who we are, and be able to, maybe if we're lucky, be a part of that community. Because community is hard. That's the thing. Community is difficult. And so don't ever forget that no matter what, even like Adam is saying, like the church, they are gone astray, but so is everything. The Rainbow Gathering, like we were there one time and this guy's yelling about the solar panels, and like it's this whole situation. We're like, well, we need clean water, and the solar panels were there to purify the water, and you jumped on them. Why did you jump on them? Anyways, little side note, community is difficult no matter what. But when you're accepted in Christ Jesus, somebody stomping on the solar panels, it doesn't affect you, man. You brought water and you're going to sleep sleep easy no matter what, because the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, the creator of the universe, accepts you for who you are, as you are.
God is love. What better news is there than that?
There is no better news. There is no better news. So that's why we did the thing. And so...
And it seems to me that this person may have seen the title of the episode, Jesus, and then made this comment. Because she put in here, his entire existence was unrecorded and unverified, but we spent like a whole section in there basically stating that Jesus is one of the most verified people in history.
Yep.
The Bible's been verified over and over again. People's testimonies, historical records, even him alive today, and people. He is the most verified historical figure.
Yeah, man.
Ever.
He's a baller.
When you just
shock collar.
making comments, at least watch the video and then make a judgment after the whole thing. Maybe if you watched the whole thing, maybe you would have been more convinced and been like, what they're saying is kind of true. Maybe it was just the church not accepting me. And maybe I do need to just revisit my relationship with God. Because, again, just a big bang out of nothing doesn't make any sense.
No,
and it's
man.
like you have identity. And this is the thing with the whole... The agendas, what I believe is dangerous. Like creationism's not dangerous, but the agenda of the New World Order is dangerous.
Amen.
It's satanic.
Yeah.
And if it's so clearly evil and satanic, that points to the opposite, that there has to be good in God and righteousness. Otherwise, there's nothing left to live for.
That's how I ended up coming to Christ, is because I experienced the evil, the hell, the darkness, and I was like, well... logically, using my brain, if this exists, there has got to be the other side of the equation. So I'm just going to head over there in that direction. And thank God I did, because it exists, and I am free because of it.
This agenda, we can see it so clearly
Yes.
now, and it's being pumped through the media, through the education system, through all these things. And what the devil tries to do initially is break down the family unit. And he does that by trying to attack our sexuality, because we've been told that our sexuality is ours and we can do whatever we want with our bodies. And really, that breaks down all of society when we think like that and we do that, because God created us in a certain way, and he had a certain plan for us to exist in his artistic creation of families. A man and a woman raising children. And when that unit is broken down, all society falls apart.
Yeah.
So if kids aren't brought up in loving homes, then they receive trauma, and then they carry that trauma and then traumatize other people. And they seek to fill that with lust. The devil will come with lust and identity, because you want to identify with something, so you identify with a certain orientation, or you go from partner to partner to partner to fill that void. And it's sin. And to be outside of God's will and to do all these things is just going to create a cycle of generational trauma. And this is why we are where we're at. People just addicted to pornography, addicted to drugs, just not staying with their partners, and cheating on each other. And society is a mess. And it all comes back to the family unit. If we just listen to God and just realize that our sexual identity is holy. It is sacred. Sex is sacred, and it's supposed to be within the confines of marriage, which is a committed relationship. So if I believe 99% of all the bad in the world just comes down to that one decision, and everybody's breaking it and doing whatever the heck they want. And this is why we're in that. So it's when people, the agenda has gone out, and you have to ask yourself, when did I first hear that, I might be gay, or I might be a boy, or I might be a girl, or whatever? Did someone tell you that information? Did you hear it in school or through the system, or did just, you were born and that was your first thought? Maybe that happens, but I guarantee that information came to you at some point.
Yeah, because there is a very small percentage of individuals on this earth who experience a thing called gender dysmorphia. It's a very small percentage, and those would be the individuals who are literally kind of born that way, where they have that inclination to be thinking, something's going on, something's wrong.
They're born with two parts.
Yeah, and so there happens to be a genetic mutation or malfunction or whatever in the wiring, the circuitry, and all of that is possible. And so I think sometimes people will be like, but how could a perfect God, and we're created and in his image and all these things, But the reality is that this day and age right now that we're living in, the year, quote unquote, 2026, we are living in a very toxic environment.
Everything's messed up.
And
the DNA's messed up.
Yeah, and so folks are being like vaccinated, like the amount of vaccines that babies would have, like let's just say in the 1960s versus today in this present day has like quadrupled. So the amount of toxins and foreign substances that are being injected into humans at this day and age, that is having a profound negative effect on the being. And so even in this thing, gender dysmorphia, I don't believe that is you were truly born that way. I believe that it is a product of the meddling, the genetic modification, if you may, that has been going on via the food, via the water, via the vaccines, via the everything. And that is why right now we see even things like autism at an all-time high. Like it is skyrocketed, ADHD, all these things. Like folks can't freaking function properly anymore. We're like glitching out all the time because everybody's all jabbed up and the 5G and the Internet of Bodies and oh my goodness gracious. But then, just going to say it because Adam said, I can't stop. If you just get the blood of Christ, you're fine. It freaking washes away all of this crap and it gives you the strength and the courage and the ability to move through these things and come into this right standing as the beautiful man or woman that you were created to be. That's the thing. There is freedom for you. There is wholeness for you. There is identity for you. There is so much goodness for you that awaits you. So just get on the train, baby. We're heading in this direction. Come with us.
And I just wanted to sum up that the one point there that of the agenda, and that we see it like in the schools with the drag queens doing reading time with the kids.
They're even doing performances now. I just saw the most horrendous thing on the internet. So now they're there doing full performances.
This agenda is being pumped to children and to society, and what happens is that the kids are going to be traumatized at some point in your life, sometimes sexually abused, and at that time a perverse spirit will attack, because that's what happens when you go through trauma. A perverse spirit will come and attach itself to you to influence your mind. So it's there giving you problems and creating things in your life, and it's just waiting for that propaganda to come to you so you can identify with it. And that's how it works, because you're longing for identity, you're longing for those wrongs to be made right, and then now the spirit will come and influence you in that. So I think it is a lot spiritual. It's not just people's own choice and this is what I am and who I am. It's because it's a spiritual world out there, and they're influencing you to move you away from God, out of God's will.
Well, even think about this too, like the whole thing with this identity stuff and identifying as a they, them. Like that's like a legion of demons identified themselves as they, as them. And if you even think about like, what is this? It's a big pride movement or whatever. And who was the one who was so full of pride? It was Satan. Satan is the most prideful being that has ever existed on this freaking earth. And it's because of his pride that he was ejected from heaven and sent down to earth, which kind of sucks because now he's down here just like running amok, him and all his freaking homies, and influencing everybody. And the reality is that, yeah, it's obvious that it's a satanic, demonic agenda. And all you really have to do is just kind of like scrub off the tint from your glasses and suddenly you can see it. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Like if you kind of look at what, and no judgment here, but if you look at how these drag queens are doing their makeup and like those outfits and everything, like this is unhinged. Like no woman actually like dresses like that in real life. It's a mockery, and it's literally insane in my opinion, and it looks demonic. It looks dangerous.
So you may not agree with all the things we see on here, but I stand by these things we have judged correctly. I believe that we've seen the truth, and our spirit testifies, the truth testifies, our research testifies, and these are the judgments
Yeah.
that we've made based on the facts and everything that we know. And I stand by that. You know, I don't go around, I do my best not to judge individuals. People like to look and judge at people and everything. Like maybe when I'm out in society at a mall or something, I'll be judging society
We're
as
never
a
at
whole.
the mall, Adam.
Well, sometimes I went once, you know, in the past year.
Oh, yeah, you got to buy that bathing suit.
and when we go out in society, yeah, we can see the state of society, and sometimes we judge society in that way. But when I'm meeting people in life and hanging out with them, I do my best not to judge them because I know everybody's going through different things and life is hard, and you don't know people until you know them. And even when you put in a dramatic amount of effort to know somebody, there's still more to know. So I always try and be very gracious to people and not judge them and like gossip about them and things like that. I do try to accept everybody with the love of Christ.
Yeah, it's true. And then at a certain point in relationship with an individual, once you've actually entered into one, there does come a time and a place where sometimes judgment calls like must be made, right? Like at the end of this little broadcast, I think we'll just get into some scriptures, some examples that the Bible gives in regards to warnings about just being flippant with your judgments, and then, you know, some guidance on how to judge rightly, especially in the church and especially in community. And even like with Adam and I, as a married couple, oftentimes we need to make hard judgment calls in order to grow, in order to be better, in order to iron sharpen iron, and in order to, like, you know, move forward. Like we even have to make a judgment today. Like the freaking one camera is possibly going to die halfway through the recording. So Adam said, let's shut it off. I said, you know what? Using my brain here, shut it off. Shut it off.
Because we can't find the charger.
We cannot find it.
It just disappeared.
Yeah. So we're going to just wrap this up shortly because we don't want to go too long. But just kind of coming out of everything Adam is saying, it's like, it's pretty obvious that today, this day and age, society has come to a place where we're running solely on the mind, will, and emotion. We're living in this place where, quote unquote, my truth reigns supreme. And that is subjective truth. And again, it's based on personal experience. And the fact is, this is low-key delusional. It's low-key delusional to be living in this space where we think we are the center of the universe and nobody can infringe upon our feelings. Like, we are adults. We are not in kindergarten and on the schoolyard somebody hurt my feelings and now the whole world needs to adjust because of that. No. Okay? I think it's really important that we start to get a grip, because if we keep going down this path of just being so self-centered, we are going to continue to increase this divide that we as humans are facing. We talked about before that the internet has caused a great division among us as humans, but now all of these little offenses are creating divisions between us as humans, and this is dangerous territory for us as the stewards of the earth, because when the people are united, we can never be defeated. But when the people are divided, then the powers that be are slowly implementing their freaking agenda while we're not looking, while we're busy fighting with one another. And if we are busy fighting with one another, we don't have our heads up, we're not paying attention to what they're doing, and they're just slowly implementing laws and setting up new freaking 5G towers to connect our bodies, and they have us like practically killing one another. And if we're killing one another, then they don't have to expend the resources to kill us. And so it's a slippery slope. And so it's important that we take the time to be honest and transparent with ourselves. And that's hard. It's really, really hard. And I myself have been on a journey, a heart posturing journey for I would say 6 to 8 months. And it's something that I had been putting off because it's hard. It's not easy to look at my heart and to see where it's gone dark or where it's gone cold or where I've allowed myself to be judgmental or where I've allowed myself to just be less than who I have been created to be. And it's painful to go through that process, but at the same time, the fruit that comes out of that that process is so beautiful. And I've seen so many good things, so many shifts just begin to take place as I've been on this journey that I'm thankful that even in those hard moments where I'm sitting there, just feeling the pain, feeling the weight, and even sometimes like the shame of like, wow, man, how could have I allowed myself to think like that, or to speak those words, or to like even think those thoughts, you know? But as I become real with myself and shift those things, it becomes better. I become stronger, and that ripple effect becomes evident, because we are all interconnected beings, and the way we treat one another is significant. And as we talked about before, treat one another the way you want to be treated. This is the golden rule, and it's simple. But what we say flows from what's in our heart. And if our heart is not right, if our heart is crooked or broken or hurting or whatever, then those things that we're going to say are not going to be vibrating above the line. They're going to be vibrating at a frequency that is detrimental, and we don't want that. We don't want to bring the people around us down. We want to bring the people around us up, and that's the whole thing that Jesus died to do, is to elevate us, to posture us in the heavenlies, to posture us in a place where we can flow in love, where we can flow in life, where we can help our brothers and sisters around us when they are low, when they are not feeling good. We need to start grounding ourselves. That's the reality, is we as human beings need to start grounding ourselves in the reality and let go of all of this self-centeredness, because as Adam mentioned, that's an agenda. Being self-centered and having the self be at the core of everything we do it's satanic. That is what Satan is all about. That's what he was all about, the pride, the ego, the self. And that is what society is all about. You know, yes, we have free choice, and that's beautiful. It's amazing that we have free will. But just because we have that doesn't mean we can just freely choose ourselves every single time. You know, it doesn't really get us anywhere that is going to be fruitful and positive. And so,
and grounding yourself in reality goes hand in hand with getting off these devices.
Yeah.
We can't be giving ourselves to watching TV shows and endless videos and movies like all the time, and connecting through social media. Like, I don't even go on social media. I cut that out like 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah, we did. I remember the day I deleted my Facebook account. We were living in Toronto, I think in the beaches. I was like, this is it. I'm deleting it. And it felt so good, so freeing, so freeing.
I just can't believe how many people are still on Facebook, and like even people are supposed to be, you know, system resistors and stuff. Like, you're using Facebook to post your events, you know, your protest events and everything. Like, no wonder that the police just turn up and they know exactly where you are and what you're doing. Like,
yeah. So with that being said, Adam, unless there's anything else you want to say, I think we should just dive into some of these scriptures.
Sure. Why don't you end off with the scriptures? That's great.
So yeah, as I said, judgments are a necessary part of life. We have to make judgment calls all the time. And the Bible talks about how to do it right. And he gives warnings about, you know, how to do it wrong. And the Bible, I just wanted to say this in case you did not know, is basically a book of basic instructions before leaving earth. That spells Bible, Bible, basic instructions before leaving earth. And so this book is a wealth of knowledge and guidance. And so when we're thinking about judgments, Jesus gives us plenty of warnings. And so Matthew 7 verses 1-2 says, do not judge so that you will not be judged. For the way you judge, you will be judged. And by your standard of measure, it will be measured to you. Romans 2 verse 1 says, therefore you have no excuse, every one of you who passes judgment. For in that which you judge another, you condemn yourself. For you who judge practice the same things. And it's so interesting too, just even kind of like reading through the scriptures, I'm really kind of just getting that picture of how we're all just like reflections of one another. And you see that really good when you're in a relationship, in a marriage. So sometimes I'm just like, you know, and I'm judging Adam. I'm just like, but I'm not an idiot, because I read the Bible and I comprehend how this is. And so when I'm like mad and I'm just like, why is he acting in this way? I'm just like, why am I acting in this way? This is me. I am doing this. And so if I pivot and I adjust myself, want to know what happens? Adam no longer acts like that. It's like some sort of magic, but it's not magic. It's frequency. It is God Almighty. It is glorious. It is the power of this world that we're living in that is so mystical and wonderful. And don't judge. Don't be a jerk when you're judging. Okay, so James 4, verse 11 to 12 says, "Do not speak against one another, brothers. The one who speaks against a brother or judges his brother speaks against the law and judges the law. There is only one lawgiver and judge." And I think that's also quite important to think about. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it is God who judges. Like at the end of the day when you die, basically.
Yeah, there is a white throne judgment coming where everything's going to be made right, and God's going to judge every single thing and every single being that's ever been created. So that's coming for everybody. So this is, why we are trying to get some of this truth out here, because there isn't like a list of a million things that God expects you to do. It's like he only gave 10 commandments, just be for creator, be for his way and his will. And
then don't kill people.
Yeah. And judgment day will go much better for you.
Yeah. Luke 6 verse 37 says, "Do not judge and you will not be judged. Do not condemn and you will not be condemned. Pardon and you will be pardoned." Matthew 7 verse 3 to 5 says, "Why do you look at the speck that is in your brother's eye, but do not notice the log that is in your own eye? First, take the log out of your own eye." And that's exactly what I just said about the reflection. It's like we're all so quick to kind of want to judge these things that we see in one another, but it's like, take a moment and look at yourself first. Now, some instructions for right judgment. So John 7 verse 24 says, "Do not judge according to appearance, but judge with righteous judgment." And that kind of plays into what I'm talking about having your heart postured correctly, being grounded and rooted in the truth and the reality of Jesus, letting him be that vine that you abide in. And from that place, having that source of life flow through you, you can judge righteously. 1 Corinthians 5 verse 12-13 says, "For what do I have to do with judging outsiders? Do you not judge those who are within the church? Remove the wicked man from among yourselves." And this is important because at a certain point when you are a believer, you need believers around you who are going to hold you accountable and who are going to help you on your path. And so the word judgment, again, can maybe be triggering, just like the word sin can possibly be triggering. And we think like, oh, judgment, you're judging me. Da, da, da. But like I said at the very beginning of this podcast, a judgment is basically just making a decision. It's analyzing information and then deciding about it, deciding what to do. And so sometimes if you have a brother or a sister who is struggling and who is maybe stuck in a loop of sin, and we all know that sin is just something that leads to death and it's harmful and it's not good for us. Sometimes you have to approach that brother or sister and make a judgment call in order to help this individual grow. And sometimes that can be painful, but if your brother or sister is truly wanting to live and grow, they're going to take this judgment and they're going to work with it. You know what I mean?
And this verse is for the church today. It's like they're not judging amongst themselves or they're incorrectly judging and allowing sin amongst themselves and judging each other for things that don't really matter. And also a lot of the church, I find, will judge outsiders. So this is the thing. That's one of my points to say. The homeless guy comes in and they're like, oh, he's probably on drugs, but...
Yeah, or like people will waste their time. Like I've been in conversations and in circles with believers where they're like judging the New Age community. And I'm just like, why are you even wasting your breath judging these people who are clearly
unbelievers?
They're into New Age. Like, are you delusional? These people are into New Age. They want to read tarot cards and smudge themselves. Like, why are you wasting your breath? Like, there's no point in judging them. You need to be loving them and you need to be showing them that God is good. And so that's a big thing that I see in the church. And here is the instruction: do not judge those people.
Like, people judge us because we go into places where Christians would never go. And we're connected with many communities, the rainbow community, the rave community, like all these new age community as well. And people would judge us and they would judge them.
That I am who I am, and it does not matter. So a couple more before we wrap this up. 1 Corinthians 6, verse 2-3 says, or do you not know that the saints will judge the world? Do you not know that we will judge angels?
And the saints have judged the world because we are post-millennial reign.
Hey. Galatians 6, verse 1. Brothers, even if anyone is caught in any trespass, you who are spiritual, restore such a one in a spirit of gentleness. Key. This is key. This is huge. This is huge for the body of Christ. This is huge. This is huge. Okay? Because, come on. Are you perfect? Do you never ever sin? Like, it's literally impossible to never sin, even when you're walking with Christ. Okay? And so you need to be gentle to those around you who are struggling, man. Otherwise, they're not going to change. They're not going to be able to do better because they're going to feel condemnation come upon them, and they're maybe going to then leave. Maybe they're going to turn their back on Christ because, kind of like this man who left the comment, and probably because he wasn't met in love. Some people weren't being gentle towards him, and that's wrong. So First Thessalonians 5:21 says, but examine everything carefully and hold fast to that which is good. And this actually is one of the best scriptures. I think it sums up everything even beyond what we're talking about today. This is a scripture that every believer and just everybody should hold near and dear to their heart, because we should always be examining everything carefully, and we should always just be holding fast, like near to our heart, and posturing our heart in that which is good. When it hits, it lands, and it resonates, and it brings life, like hold fast to that. Do not let it go. And the last one I'm going to share is Philippians 1, verses 9-10. And this I pray, that your love may abound still more and more in real knowledge and all discernment, so that you may approve the things that are excellent. Amen.
How could people not love the Bible? These such wise words.
This is so deep. This is so deep. And even then, with the end of this broadcast today, I pray that your love may abound still more and more, that you may find real knowledge, and that you may operate in true discernment, so that you may prove the things that are excellent, and that in that excellent things would come to you for this week. God bless you. We love you. If you want to leave a comment, leave a comment. If you want to call in to the next episode, leave a comment letting us know that you want to call in on the next episode. We are so happy to be here with you, and just, thank you so much.
Peace.
Peace.